Hey guys, we're back with another popular request. This time we're taking you back to the year 2000 with Bad Company's classic, The 9. This track was played almost non-stop at raves back in the day, and it was characterized by that drony sub bass, that hard two-step break, and that menacing, angry Reese switch up. So I'm going to show you how I would recreate this track today. And if you guys are interested in downloading the project, I'll leave it down in the link below. By the way, my name is Stranger. If you want to improve your music production and sound design, especially with drum and bass and dance music, then this channel is for you. By the way, are you a talented sound designer? If you're interested, we're looking to expand our team at Deviant Audio, and we're looking for talented sound designers to create presets and samples for our next sample and preset packs. If you think you have what it takes, feel free to contact me down in the link below. All right, without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so I recreated the 9. I'm going to break down each section for you guys. Let's start with the drums, and we have a number of layers here to create the drum breaks. So the end product sounds like this. And I just have a simple kick pattern here. Nothing special with the kick. I just found a kick that has a bit more weight and character. Right, so there's a bit more mids on this kick, which makes it rumble a little. And then one of the keys is to shorten this kick. That way we make a little more room for the bass to breathe. Otherwise it gets too boomy. And then the snare is just 3 layers together. And I have it played short so it kind of truncates at the end here. And what I do to the snare is I add a bit of EQing. There's some compression. And then I saturate the snare with Rift, one of my favorite distortion plugins right now. I use it a lot. So that gives it that more distorted snare sound. And then I add some reverb, just to make it sound like it's in a room. So we have this. And then I layer it with a snare from Break, just to give it a little more body. It just plays really quietly. Here's another break. I think layering this was what gives the drums a little more character. So with more older school drum and bass, especially back in the late 90s and 2000s, we were layering drums a lot more together. Nowadays in modern drum and bass, it's all about making room for certain sounds and not over layering, so you have a really nice clean kick with very precise and defined frequencies, whereas back in the early 2000s, late 90s, there was less. We didn't care about that as much. We just layered things together until it sounds good, and you might get a blob of sound that's mixed in together, whereas today you're more precise. You break things down into bands and things like that. But this is how we did it back in the day, and it just gave us the results that we wanted. So with this break, with the other 2 breaks, so all this together, it sounds like this. All right, so one of the most defining sounds of the 9 is actually the hi-hat. And if I'm correct, I read a story about how Vegas from Bad Company worked on this hi-hat for weeks until he got it right. So I think it's important to spend a little time here to talk about the hi-hat. So what I'm doing here is I'm using just a regular hi-hat from a drum machine, and I'm playing really short notes here. So that's one of the main things. So otherwise we would have this. But I'm going to shorten it to around here. Right, so now it's really short and truncated. And then over here, we're just going to add a release so it fades out after the note ends. So that sounds all right. And then add a bit of reverb. And then we're going to distort the hi-hat and add another layer of distortion. So now it sounds nice and dirty. And one more thing is we're going to duck the hi-hat every time the kick and snare hits. So we're going to duck these notes here. So now we get more of a swing. And let's hear it with the rest of the drums. All right, sounding good. One more thing is they add an open hi-hat on top. The open hi-hat just fills the space, okay? And then finally, there's a section with a fast shaker. And finally, we group the drums together, and I have this compressor. It's TDR Molotov. It's actually for free, so you can find it down at Tokyo Dawn Records. They have a bunch of free plugins, so you can grab it. I'll leave a link down below so you can grab this, but it's a nice glue compressor. So this is without it. And with. So it makes it a little more warmer and more body. All right, so that's the drums. Let's move on to the bass. So the 9 has a massive sub bass, and it's one of the most iconic kind of tech step bass lines from the late 90s, early 2000s. I remember so many raves, this tune being dropped and people would go crazy. There was actually a point in time where they just played this track almost too much. Well, I got sick of it, but it is a classic, and the bass is really easy. All it is a detuned sawtooth. I use around 8 voices, and then we just low pass it. Right? That's all it is. And the notes is simply an A sharp, and A, like that. You can smooth out the notes if you add a bit of a portamento or glide. I have 51 milliseconds and put the voicing to mono mode, so it's still only one note at a time, but that's pretty much the bass. But before we continue, here's a short ad on our new preset pack, Wubs and Wobbles. Now, one of the most iconic parts of the 9 is that change up on every 16 or 32 bars. There's this menacing Reese that comes in. It comes in full power, and then it drops back into the sub bass. So it's important to talk about this part. The first part is we should talk about the drum section. The drum pattern actually changes during the section. We use dotted eighth notes to do this boom ka boom pattern. So let's go through this pattern real quick first. Okay, so you have the regular boom ka, that 2-step, and then on the second bar, it uses that dotted eighth note between the kick and snare. So you have the kick here, right? And then you would have the snare like on these two positions here, right? But since I have it separated, I have it like this. So the snare is here. Okay, so that's important. That's the drum break during the Reese. Now let's talk about how we recreate the Reese sound. So I'm actually using the Reese preset from my track test tube. And if you want to grab that preset, just grab my free Serum presets pack down in the link below. But if you want to learn how to make this sound, again, it is pretty simple. So I'm using the wavetable Monster 7 in Serum and increase the wavetable amount until it gets nasally. And then we're going to increase unison mode to make it sound fatter, right? Okay, we're getting there. Now assign LFO 1 to the wavetable position to create some movement. And I have a pretty fast LFO rate at about 4,000 Hertz. So you get that wobbly sound. And then apply a bandpass 24 filter. Now go into the effects section, enable some distortion. Okay. We can add a bit of reverb. Okay, so it's getting there. Now I add some more distortion using Decapitator. And then we increase some of the mids. I also dip some of the super low frequencies of the Reese here, duck some of the box frequencies at 120 Hertz. And then I add a bit more saturation distortion to it using Rift. So we're getting that nice Reese foghorny kind of sound. Add a touch more reverb at the end of the chain. That's pretty much the Reese patch, and the pattern. So this is the pattern. It's playing F sharp and it goes up 1 octave and then back down. The key here is there is some pitch modulation. So there's a bit of pitch bend on that higher F note here where it goes. So this is the pattern. Let's hear it in full. Okay, so that's the switch up. Now just have some additional sounds here. We have some atmospherics. And then there's this stab sound that comes in on the second bar. I'm using a stab sound from my gnarly serum preset pack. I'm using the Sandstorm preset. And I'm simply playing just 2 notes here. Okay, so here's the pattern. So let's hear it all together. Okay, so that's all the sounds together. Let's put this into the arrangement view so we can listen to a sequence of it. All right, so here's the arrangement. So I've colored the section so you can see it. We have a 16 bar block where the last 2 bars we have the switch up, and that's the green section. And on the second 16, we introduced that fast shaker. And that's how we create movement with this track. There's different sounds that come in and out. Especially with this shaker that comes in and out, it's a nice way to add energy and movement through the track. So let's hear the track in full. Oh yeah, so this is bringing me back to the old rave days, that droning dark bass line, that techie 2-step drum pattern. It just gives you those dark, angry feels. Love it. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed watching me recreate Bad Company's classic, The 9. The key here is learning how to layer different drum sounds to create that drum break, learning the sound design tips to create that sub bass and that menacing Reese, and of course learning how to create switch ups to create excitement during your track. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. All that helps my channel grow. Also, follow me on Instagram and TikTok where I'm providing additional exclusive content. Anyways, that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, keep practicing, and I'll see you at the next video.